Hi there, and thanks so much for joining us for MiWeek. I'm Christy McDonald. We have a lot to get to this week, so let's bring in our MiWeek contributors. Nolan Finley of the Detroit News, Stephen Henderson of the Detroit Free Press. Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
It's good to see you. I can see that you're excited to be here
We
as well. By that pregnant pause, you guys were just the
4th of July
anticipation.
week.
I was up all night
week.
listening to Yahoos blow off fireworks. So.
Is that are you kind of
hear any
Nolan,
of it.
kind of the get off my front lawn kind of guy with fireworks?
I
Nolan?
am. I sure am.
Why? We want them to change the regulation?
I think it's crazy. They're selling these huge explosives.
These are
in
mortars,
Michigan now.
basically. They're selling. These are not
basically
fireworks.
are,
Yeah.
no.
Come on, they're just sparklers, Stephen. They're just sparklers.
And they keep you up all night.
Oh. I remember, Nolan, get off my lawn, kids. All right, let's talk about a couple of the headlines that have been happening here. And, you know, when you see a headline in the paper that says the state sues Flint over water quality, you know that there's a problem. And, Nolan, I'm going to start with you in talking about, number one, the city council not making the decision by the state's deadline about their water source and locking in a long-term deal with the Great Lakes Water Authority.
Well, I think it's just plain nuts to consider doing anything but staying on the Detroit water system. This is a city that has taken a long time to get over, and they're not over it yet, the effects of the last water switch. Now you're going to start all over and try to build trust in a new water source. I don't know whether the Karamangue system would be okay. Would it be similar to Detroit's, or would you have to retreat those pipes all over again? I think there's just too much risk, too much at stake, and I don't think they have any choice but to stay with Detroit.
I think they're also talking about, though, having the time to completely vet it, that they want some more time to look into the deal that Mayor Karen Weaver said, that, look, this is the best deal. The council's saying, well, wait, we want some more time, but the state's saying, no, you missed the deadline.
Well, they did miss the deadline, and this is not something to play around with. I mean, think of all the absolute tragedy we've seen unfold in that city over the last 2 years, all related to where they get their water. This all dates back a really long way, though. And Flint was like the other customers on Detroit Water for many years, saying, we think we pay too much for this. We don't think we get the service we want. That led them to the whole Karamangue venture in the first place, and then led them to think they could save money on water. The truth is that the Detroit water system, for all its problems, is the best choice for everybody in Southeast Michigan. This Karamangue thing is going to be somewhat of a gamble. They ought to just re-sign, but there is still that sense, I think, in Flint, that old sense that, well, we can do better. Detroit's ripping us up.
Yeah, so but my point about this whole thing, or kind of looking at this and reading through, is how come people then from the state, how come they're not sitting down and saying any questions that you have, any information that you need to see on what is better and what's the best value here? We're going to answer every and all question, and we're going to stay here and stay put in your office.
How do we know they're not doing that?
Well, because you have the point where you have the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality filing a federal lawsuit against them, saying you didn't make a decision by that date. I'm saying a lot of these decisions, these conversations, they should do everything in their power to make sure a headline like that is not coming out.
Well, I mean, they certainly do, but I mean, the Flint governance in Flint has never been a quality thing. They're still having a lot of problems at City Hall. There's still a lot of hints of corruption and mismanagement at City Hall. It's not like you're dealing
under who? Where
under
are we
the current administration.
What, are you saying Karen Weaver, or what are you saying?
Karen Weaver's administration and city government is still having a whole lot of problems. They're having trouble managing this big influx of money coming in. This is not a first-rate city government yet. They still got troubles, and I'm not sure what the state did or didn't do, but you know, I agree. They shouldn't have, you want to avoid a lawsuit, but this one may not have been avoidable.
And also, we're looking at tax liens right now. The state saying, look, you're going to have to start turning off people's water. You're going to have to starting to collect on some back bills there. And the mayor's saying, look, we need to still freeze on this.
Well, I think it's too early to start taking people's houses for tax liens and things like that. I mean, look, this is a city that's just getting up off its back and maybe is now on its knees. We need to get it on its feet before we start, running things the way we do in other places, and we're not close to that. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do to make the citizens of that city whole again, and then act like everything's normal.
Yeah, but I mean, you create the same situation you had in Detroit, where some people are paying and some people aren't, and the ones who are paying end up paying more. You still have to have that revenue. You still have to support the system. The people are using the water. They may not be able to drink it, but they are getting the free bottled water and what have you. They're using the water for other things. You have to pay your bills. And this notion now that we don't have to pay our bills is going to lead to further financial problems for the city. They just keep digging themselves in deeper.
Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Pistons development. There's been a lot of conversation about community benefits package, and is the Pistons, are they giving enough for what kind of tax breaks that they're getting there to build? Stephen, I'm going to go to you on this one.
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty complicated picture, and we had a chance to talk earlier this week with Arn Tellem about it. I thought he did a good job of sort of filling in what it looks like from their side of things, that they're not getting this subsidy. That subsidy goes to the arena itself. In fact, it's a sort of a weird deal. I think the bigger picture, though, is this question about who benefits from what development, and I think we answer that pretty poorly in this community. I think we still buy into the idea that downtown development can sort of self-contain itself in terms of financing and benefits, and that eventually, someday, it will reach people out in the neighborhoods. I think we have to rethink that and start talking about ways that we make sure there are explicit benefits for other parts of the city that are still waiting for investment or catalyst. When we do things like this, when you take tax money and give it to somebody, what's the return on that? What's the explicit return? And the Pistons are on their own doing a lot of things, I think, volunteering to do a lot of things that will benefit the community. It's a good move for everybody. But the deal itself should contain more explicit ways that this helps with schools or demolition, or you think of all the great needs we have that are unfulfilled. These things need to talk to each other a little more.
Is this detailed enough? No.
Well, I mean, what Tellem told us the other night is that they're going to be hiring a lot of people, and they've committed to saying a majority of the people they hire are going to be Detroiters. That certainly helps the neighborhoods. If people have jobs and bring their paychecks back into the neighborhoods to spend it. They're building this performance center up near the news center. They've committed to a huge amount of investment in Detroit, and that benefits people from start to finish. And I think that's the way they're looking at it. And we don't know yet what the spin-off benefit is going to be of this whole district project, but it looks like it could be enormous. This could be a true game changer for downtown Detroit.
Was Councilwoman Mary Sheffield looking at saying maybe some of the revenue from the Pistons players, or the tax revenue, should be put in a separate pot that would just go specifically outside of downtown?
Right. She's trying to pass an ordinance that would take their income tax revenue, which is pretty considerable. I think it's like $9 million a year, and use that explicitly in neighborhoods. And I think that's the kind of thinking that we need to get to, is let's not just wait for it to work. There is a certain burden of proof, I think, that we have to meet with people in neighborhoods that have been left out of so much that has gone on so far, to really show, look, we're thinking about you, we're thinking about the things that are going on in your community, and we're going to make sure that these things work on your behalf as well as for downtown. So I think that's a good idea. I think there are other ideas out there that the businesses that are involved in this could be coming up with. Where are the Illiches? Where are the Gores? Where are the Fords? Thinking about how can we make these things speak to each other a little more directly.
If you put $9 million into the city treasury, I mean, the bulk of that, regardless, is going to be sent in the neighborhoods. That's where most of the budget goes, to providing services. I don't know that you need to carve out this fund and sit it here. $9 million, $9 million. It's going to benefit people throughout the city, and that's the way downtown development and revenue it produces should work. It should benefit across the board. And, I think.
But you have a trust issue with people in the city.
Saying, are we going to see this,
right.
and
they don't
what
see
way
enough.
will I see this?
Why not say, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, and this goes directly to you. I think for a while, at least, we have this sort of obligation to try to demonstrate those things because it's been so nebulous.
But people are smart enough to know you put that $9 million in here, and $9 million is going to come out the bottom. And the city has a tough budget and a tough challenge, and they got a management. I think it's better to just be honest and say this is a lot more money coming into the city to spend on everybody and on whatever needs we have.
All right, speaking about a lot more money, just today we finally are hearing more about a potential deal for the jail in downtown Detroit with Wayne County. So Nolan, you pulled up what we just saw, the press release.
Yeah, just
comparing what what one side would be and what the Gilbert plan would be if they would pay for a justice system.
County sent out an announcement. They got the bids from both Walsh Construction, which was the only contractor who bid on finishing the jail, and from the Gilbert organization. Walsh, just quickly, Walsh is offering to build a 1,608-bed jail for $269 million, or a 2,200-bed jail for $317 million. Rock wants to build a 2,280-bed jail, plus a criminal justice system, courthouse, juvenile facility, basically replacing all those municipal justice buildings down there at a cost of $520 million, of which the county will be responsible for $380, and they'll cover the rest.
So 380 for the county for under the Gilbert plan, or 317 under the basic plan, but the 380 would get them a new court system, a new juvenile system.
Yeah.
Devil in the details, though, right now, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they'll have to look all the way through that proposal to see exactly what will be done and where, but at least on its face, it seems like a pretty good deal for the county. I think completing the jail where it is without being able to fix the issues with the court system, the issue with the juvenile system, that's not a great fix. We still would have to come up with a lot of money. I mean, one way to look at this deal is it sounds like the Gilbert people are saying, we'll pay for those other pieces of this if you will go ahead and pay to construct the jail. It seems like a fair compromise.
I mean, we said from the beginning they're going to have to write a bigger check, and it looks like he's writing a lot bigger check. Matt Cullen said on Mackinac, we're going to get there. Both sides have to give a little more, and it looks like they did their part.
And Warren Evans, Wayne County said, Warren Evans said, look, I don't have a preference either way. The best thing has got to be for the taxpayers at this point because we've been on the hook.
Well, I think he's played this very well. I mean, if he ends up either way, he's getting a lot more than he started out with.